Sampling has evolved into an integral tool for musical artists, but its popularity comes with consequences considering copyright law and ethics. This evolution has introduced the question of appropriate practice. What is good and bad sampling approach, and has this changed as the technique has evolved? Music is subjective and it is therefore difficult to state a defining answer. Nonetheless, the aim of this study is to understand the scope and suitability of musical sampling to form a basis for artists to approach the craft in an appropriate and successful manner, ultimately answering the following research question. By exploring the evolution of sample-based music, to what extent can sampling approach be considered as good or bad? Sampling originated as a humble way to acknowledge fellow composers, with jazz musicians in 20th century New Orleans adapting their colleagues' work into their own live performances. Recorded sampling techniques originated in 1940, revolving around French composer Pierre Schaeffer and a genre called musique concrète, which utilized tape manipulation to sample recorded sounds. However, it was New York-based DJs that established sampling as a monumental technique by isolating, scratching, distorting, rewinding, and looping their favorite records to create their own songs, resulting in hip-hop music. This was followed by samplers such as the notorious Akai MPC, before digital audio workstations such as Logic Pro X, Ableton, and FL Studio were introduced in modern music production. This evolution introduced the concept of rules, with guidelines representing the principles of sampling culture. However, as techniques evolve, the ideologies surrounding them can change too. 11 one-to-one semi-structured interviews were conducted involving the same set of open-ended questions. Each contributor was involved within the music industry and had sufficient knowledge and experience within musical sampling. Questions were based on responses from an initial survey conducted within a preliminary study. Thematic analysis was used to examine the data, with key patterns identified and explored. The study identified 3 key dimensions which influence an individual's opinion on the evolution of sampling. These were history and culture, the concept of rules, and the present situation of sampling. The following table provides a brief breakdown of the considerations involved within each sampling approach mentioned. This includes the initial research, the preliminary study, and the conclusions made from the interview process. By implementing these frameworks into personal practice, 5 sample-based tracks were produced, with each one varying in sample source, manipulation, and approach. Autoethnography was adopted to present and analyze the results, using first-person journaling to record personal thoughts and feelings on each framework. The following table provides a production summary for each track, highlighting the framework implemented as well as the individual aspects that influence the final sound. According to the final notes, the preferred approach was the one derived from participant interviews. The process was much more enjoyable, with the lack of restrictions allowing spontaneity within the craft, promoting creativity and experimentation. Other approaches implemented boundaries, which uncovered feelings of obligation, which does not seem suitable within an artistic workflow. It can be concluded that the objectives were fulfilled to confirm that sample-based music must involve certain elements of creativity and consider history to be deliberated as appropriate. 5 key outcomes can be summarized from the results and referenced as suitable approach to sampling practice. 1. Opinions on sampling approach evolve over time. 2. Originality is the fundamental requirement of sample-based music. 3. The history of a sample must always be considered. 4. There should ideally be a form of alteration when implementing a sample. And lastly, creativity can be limited by applying restrictions. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it provided you with a brief introduction and understanding of my master's project. I thoroughly enjoyed my research as well as making this content. Thank you.